All right, everybody, this is In Liberty and Health, episode 20. We kind of threw this together, I don't want to say necessarily last minute, but I got Bill Cox here with me. He is chair of Westmoreland County, which is the county that I reside in. He announced that he is running for Western Vice Chair of Pennsylvania, correct?
Correct.
All right, Bill, how you doing?
I'm pretty good, Kyle. Just relaxing, enjoying time off, enjoying the Thanksgiving weekend. Um, how's your weekend going, my man?
Absolutely great. We were talking a little bit off air about kind of some of the stuff going on in the Libertarian Party and even the Liberty sphere, as it stands right now, Republicans and Libertarians and how we view two different vehicles. Um, I guess kind of give a little background on how you became a libertarian, just so people kind of get where you're coming from. I've told my story a couple times, but I just was a former neocon at one point, and then had learned through many other great libertarian thinkers that this ain't the way to go. And if we want to live in a free society, then we should be libertarians. So, yeah, go ahead, give us the breakdown on how you came to where you're at.
Okay. Let's see. I graduated high school 2007. When I graduated, I was a Democrat. I was registered Democrat coming out of high school. Then shortly after graduation, I found Ron Paul. Um, After finding Dr. Paul, 2008, I ended up voting for him then, again in 2012. And after 2012, that's when I found the Libertarian Party. Found it, saw they endorsed Gary Johnson, voted for Gary Johnson 2012. And 13, 14 is when the Libertarian Party kind of lost me. Just some of the messaging they had around that time kind of disillusioned me. So I kind of got out of politics altogether. Um, Then 2016, Gary Johnson, I noticed they ran him again. I was really pumped, going to vote for him, but he just had too many issues in 2016. I couldn't bring myself to vote for him. Um, but it did kind of start getting me looking back at the party. Come 2017, 18, that's when I started coming back around to the party. Guys like Dave Smith, Tom Woods, Jason Stapleton at the time, even though he's went off the rails a little bit lately. But back then, when he was on the Jason Stapleton show, him and Darren, that was my favorite Libertarian show, and those guys brought me back. Listening to Tom Woods, he was starting to talk about this new thing called the Mises Caucus. He had Mike Heiss on a couple times. And then I started looking into them, getting interested in the Mises Caucus. I did so. Didn't officially join the caucus until actually last year. And we'll stop. I went a little too far ahead right there. 2000, what was it? 19 was when I really got back into the Libertarian Party. Um, it was December of 2019. We had some stuff going on in my family, and that's when I joined the Mises Caucus. Got involved last year, and then really this year. Fast forward to July of this year when I got um, elected as the chair of Westmoreland County. Um, Met you guys. I got a chance to meet you in person. Then November we had our municipal elections this year where we got 5 libertarians elected throughout the county. Then another race we had a gentleman running for mayor of Delmont. He received 29% of the vote against a 2 or 3 term Republican incumbent. So overall, he lost, but he had a really good showing, all things considering. Shortly after that, I decided I was going to run for Western Vice Chair after finding out our current Vice Chair wasn't going to rerun. And that's where we're at right now.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome to hear. And I did have Nathan Job on here, and that was actually one of my better performing episodes
I
to
saw
my
that.
surprise. Yeah, he's a great dude, and I foresee a great future in Liberty with him. And hopefully he decides to run again or, do something because I think he's a great dude. I think he's a solid libertarian. And seeing how he performed in that overall election, I think there's great opportunity there. Um, so as Western Vice Chair, what would be kind of some of your responsibilities? Because even I don't know some of this stuff, and I've dabbled in the party politics. I still try to stay as active as I possibly can. But what does that kind of look like when you get to that kind of level?
Western vice chair, their main responsibility is to be an assistant to the chair of the party of the state. After that, their biggest responsibility would be to organize the counties in their region. So that would be as far north as, let's see, we got Forest, Crawford, Clarion County, down as far south as Fayette, and then everything over to the edge of the state towards Ohio. I think I can't remember if it's 26, it's something around 26 counties. But I'd be in charge of getting the affiliates that aren't organized, affiliated and organized, get them their board vote, and get the communities growing in those counties. And then the counties that are developed, helping them to continue build their counties and find candidates to run for office. And those are the two main things: build the counties up and help them find candidates for office and run those candidates.
Nice. You've already done a little bit of work in helping getting some counties already set up, right?
A little bit. Indiana County, some friends out there, they asked me about how they get started. I'm working on helping them get started up. And then there's a couple other people who've reached out to me and I'm working with right now at the moment.
Nice, awesome. Oh yeah, that's definitely what we need is more libertarian counties getting set up. I know Westmoreland, as we kind of alluded to earlier, we're doing pretty well, and it seems like our growth within our county has definitely gone up even since I started going almost a year ago now. And I wanted to say this on air specifically. I was skeptical about you being chair initially, but then once you got in, I saw that you had the guts, you had the balls, and you were ready to just get to work, man. It was no downtime. It was as soon as you got the nomination, you hit the ground running, man. So I just want to make sure that I was transparent as possible about that, even on my own show and for you. But like I said, I had my doubts, but I feel bad for saying that, but like I said, it's the truth. You hit the ground running, and I think you've done great things for our county and even beyond. And I think you're truly dedicated to the cause. So while we're here, I would fully endorse you as the Western Vice Chair. So kind of continuing on from there, how do you see some of the other stuff going on in the party? We were talking a little bit about internal party conflict, and it seems like you've actually been able to kind of quell the fire there a little bit.
Thanks. First, I appreciate that.
Of course.
Appreciate you being honest, and I'm glad I proved you wrong.
Yeah, well, me too. And like I said, it sounds crappy to say that, but
Hey, I don't mind it.
yeah, well, I have to be that way,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be right for me to just say, well, you know what, I just did it to do it. I had doubts, but I'm glad that I was wrong. And like I said, I could not be more supportive of you and whatever and wherever you choose to run.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Of course.
Okay, if you want to get into the internal politics of the party, we can do that. I'm assuming you're talking about some of the stuff that goes on in the LPPA, some of the consternation within this state itself. We'll start there instead of go national. It sucks. There's some stuff that if it wasn't happening, the party would be able to grow faster and do more. But as it is, we're stuck dealing with it for now. Try to think where we want to go with this.
Some people have shown that they're not necessarily good faith actors, which is very upsetting to me because I think you, the same as me, and this is perhaps where my skepticism of you being chair initially came from. I give these people miles and miles of the benefit of the doubt. I assume that these people are always good faith actors, and then oftentimes they'll go out of their way to prove that they're not.
Yeah.
And it sucks because we were talking before the show about how the Libertarian Party right now is a pond, right?
It is.
And there are some people who hold lily pads in this pond. And the pond's getting bigger because more and more libertarians are coming in. And they'll be very happy to tell you that there's more libertarians coming in. But they'll turn around and say that some of these people are in for a hostile takeover. And I've never once heard anyone more inclined towards our side, which I would say we're more biased, not against anybody in particular, but we like the Mises Caucus because we feel
Yeah,
that's what lies close to our principles.
yeah,
Um, I've never heard anybody once on the Mises Caucus side say we don't want any good libertarians in the party. They've always made it clear that they want as many good libertarians as possible. Where I think people get confused is that the definition of good libertarian may get slurred a little bit. And people will point the finger a lot at other people and say, well, they're racist, they're sexist. They'll use these terms to scare people away. And then it's like a large fear mongering circle where they basically say that everybody from the Mises Caucus is a racist. And not everybody says that, but some people say that, and therefore they fear that we're gonna push them out of the party. But that's not your goal. That's not my goal. That's not the goal of the Mises Caucus. The goal is to grow the party and to wake up as many people as possible and expose them to the message of liberty.
nailed it. Those people that crow, that were racist, that were bigots,
Mm.
they do that because they don't have any real arguments. So their only weapon to use at that point is to slander us. Um, I've talked to you a lot. I've talked to a lot of people. Anybody from the county, say for
Mm.
maybe one person, ask them. They've talked to me. You're gonna have a hard time finding anybody who says I'm a racist bigot, that I want to kick people out of the party. I'm constantly working to bring more people into the party, and
Absolutely.
that's the way I found the Mises Caucus to be. There may be one person who the Mises Caucus in the state really, really, really has an issue with, and that's they've done stuff that I would call them a bad person for.
Mm-hmm.
And anything they like, the issues they have with that person, they're completely warranted from what's happened recently. Um, but that's the only case. Everybody, they don't want to kick anybody out. We don't want to. There's room for everybody here, but
Mm-hmm.
we cannot water down the message of liberty to let the it's a, it's a tough area to say right now. We don't want to water down the message. That's the primary thing. And a lot of people think when we say messaging is a primary goal, that means we don't want to run candidates. We want to run just as many candidates as anybody else does in the party. The problem is the kicker is we want to run principled candidates. We
Mm-hmm.
want to get people who want to run for office, who want to deliver the message of liberty, who want to get things done in their office, whether it's county controllers, auditors, mayors, councilmen, council members, school board members. We want people who are, once they get these offices, are going to do things to further freedom, not just to get office and hold it because they're an L. And I think when people look at the Mises Caucus, all they look at is all we want to do is get on social media and do bombastic messaging. That's not it.
Mm-hmm.
We want principled people in the party, do principled stuff to get publicity for the party, grow it, get people into local office, and start furthering freedom in the state. That's our primary goal.
Absolutely. And I totally think that's a doable thing. And I, it's frustrating when you hear the two, the divide in the Libertarian Party that we have here, when people think that we can't have both. It doesn't have to be a mutually exclusive thing. And even if you want to go as far as the post-libertarian stuff, where, the wealth, power, influence stuff, which, okay, it does sound a little ridiculous because basically all they're doing is, as far as I can tell, is just screaming, stop being poor at people. But my point is, we can have people get elected. We can have good messaging, and we can improve our personal lives. None of these are mutually exclusive. We can do all three. So what's the fighting about? We can have bold messaging from people who are elected, who are good people, that are kings or stewards of their community, who are good leaders, who are going to lead people towards our ideology of liberty and freedom. I don't see the contradiction with any of those. So that's why it's so frustrating when you see people on each one of these sides fighting when, our degree of separation or wherever we differ is like 5%, right?
Yeah.
We can have it all, But for some reason, we're looking at this 5% versus the 95% and trying to, argue with people over, like I said, that 5%. To me, it's ridiculous. Yeah, I don't understand why we can't just say, okay, well, we could do all this. And, if you feel like you're stronger on the education and messaging front, we'll have you do this. And if you're good at the office stuff, then hey, let's get you worked in with somebody who's good with messaging, and you guys can bring up each other's weaknesses. It's like leadership 101.
I agree 100%. And leadership, I think, is the biggest issue facing our state-run party right now. I think it starts at the top and it's worked its way down, unfortunately.
Mhm.
And the only way we can clear this infighting up is through, for better or worse, it's going to be a new board come Williamsport. Um, we need to get people on the board within the state who want to, for lack of a better term, decentralize power. That you need your chair and vice chairs are there to wrangle and manage everybody else within the state. At this point right now, we have a board for the most part. This isn't everybody, but we're speaking general terms, that likes to keep the power centralized around them, give themselves pats on the back for the most part, and keep telling themselves good job for doing the work they do, while really not giving any of the credit to a lot of the people who are out there doing it. Mises people are out there doing stuff all over the state,
Mhm.
and no one gets any credit for that. It's unfortunate because there's a lot of good work being done throughout the state by a lot of people. It's not just Mises people,
Mhm.
it's everybody in the party. But when we have people at the top saying Mises guys are racist, bigots, they want to kick people out of the party, they'd rather talk than do anything. It's not true. We got guys, Joe Wagner, Mike. I don't care what anybody says. Michael Heiss is the best liberty activist Pennsylvania has. He is one of the best liberty activists in the country. There's no denying that. Like,
Mhm.
this last board meeting, we had 3 counties get recognized. We had Blair, shit, now I'm blanking.
Was it
Blair, Blair,
my,
Tioga, and one other one. I can't think of it for some reason. But Mike Heiss is the reason these counties got they got recognized. He went out, he helped their people do door knocking, get people to get them signed up, and now they have board votes.
Mhm.
That's 3 counties in 1 month. I understand why, like, I don't understand why people don't like him. Like, he's a good dude. I met him. I've talked to him. I talk to him all the time. The hate that the extreme hate that's just thrown his and a couple other guys' way, it's unwarranted. It's because people are afraid of losing their lily pads, like you said.
Mhm.
And Mike's not like, you follow Mike. Is he out there blowing people up, shitting on people?
No, you know what? That is the funniest part, and I'm glad that you brought him up, because you are absolutely right. There is no harder working liberty activist in the entire fucking country. I mean, this dude, he calls individual people. He knows your name, and he's, going to ask you what's going on. He's going to, he talks to all the people. I mean, he's not a freaking slacker, and I've never seen him tearing anybody down unless it was warranted. People who, actively worked against members in their party when it was even in their own interest to work with them instead of against them.
Yep.
That's the only time that he ever has said anything bad about people, and by that point, it's usually justified. So I think if these people who are so scared of the Mises Caucus, if they would just spend a little bit more time with these people and say, "Hey, let's give them a chance," then they would be surprised and they would say, "Hey, we agree on pretty much everything. These people want to grow the party. We want to grow the party. We want officials elected. They want officials elected." Like I was saying earlier, where's the conflict? It's this 5% where people think it has to be a mutually exclusive thing, where they think it has to be one way or else. That's it. They can't possibly see going a different route or using, bold messaging to get a message across. And is there such a thing as too bold messaging? Perhaps, but you got to try it and find out.
That's it. Uh, get off the caucus for now. But messaging, to me, that's it's as important, if not more important, than running candidates. And I can't. It's not more important. It's equally as important.
Hmm.
Because when you run candidates, running a candidate for office doesn't matter if they're not putting the message out there. No one's going to know who they were a year from now if they didn't win. No, you want people who can go out, who are going to talk to people, get on in the papers, get on radio shows, who are going to deliver the message why you should elect libertarians. We need people who will get in those shows, get in print, tell their story, and tell them why libertarians are the way of the future. We want everybody's freedom all the time, and there's no reason that you can't have that message out there, as well as running candidates. Nothing in that sphere is mutually exclusive. You
Hmm.
can, I don't even, bold. I don't know if there is too much, if there is an ability to be too bold, because at the end of the day, that brings eyes onto the party, and that's what we need. People need to come to the party. Just find us, find the principles of the party, and they'll come. Everybody's a libertarian; they just don't know it yet.
Yeah, I totally think there are a very, very large amount of people just kind of waiting to hear the right message. And to kind of go to a little bit more of a national level, and this has kind of been a theme when I talk to political people on my show. um, Donald Trump was able to hit that vein with a lot of people. He was able to really get people fired up about something. And I disagree with Trump and his solutions, but when you have that passion, when you have that message, you are able to pull people in your direction. And that's what I think the Libertarian Party needs to be about. And as far as I could tell, I think most of the Mises Caucus agrees too, is that we need to pull people towards a message. We need to wake people up. And, if we run somebody who's a real bold libertarian in 2024, and I think everybody has an idea of who that's going to be, um, they're definitely going to pull in a lot of people. And hopefully, to go back to that metaphor that we were talking about earlier, it makes the pond a lot bigger. Um, as it kind of looks now, it looks like a lot of the people who aren't necessarily principled libertarians as we see it are kind of getting out of the pond. And it's sad to see people go, but if they're not going to grow the party, if they're going to bring everybody down, maybe it is better if they're gone.
If you're going to do more harm to the party than good, then there's no need to have you around anymore. That's just the truth of it. Like, libertarians are going to stay if they're libertarians. If they're not libertarians, they're going to go.
Mhm.
We have people go to the Green Party. Like, it is what it is. Like, not everybody is. I think most people are libertarians at the end of the day. You just have to show what they're missing. Because I think anybody, if say for right wing, like far right and the far left, normal Democrats, normal Republicans, they're libertarians. You just have to show them where they are. They're going to agree with a lot of stuff. It's those, like you said, it's the 5% on the edges.
Mhm.
Those are the people we're never going to convince. And I think we have a problem. This last campaign, the national presidential campaign with Joe Jorgensen, I think they were trying to reach that 5%, and I think it hurt the campaign more than anything. Um, you can you want to get the majority of the people in. More people, the better. When you reach for the far edge, that's when you're going to hurt. Those are people. No matter what you say, you're never going to be able to reach and bring them in. They're going to want. It's the closed borders. It's the socialists on the left.
Mhm.
Everybody out there, that shouldn't be our target. It should be the 95% of the population who do have some kind of common sense, who do want to live a better life, who want people to be free and want to enjoy and live a good life. And there's no reason the Libertarian Party can't hit that. The
Absolute.
problem,
Oh, sorry, God.
no, it's just we can look back at the 2020 election cycle, especially with Joe Jorgensen's campaign. Joe is a great libertarian. Let me say that first. She is a hell of a libertarian.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
That campaign was terrible, completely
Mhm.
terrible on messaging. I'm a libertarian. I'm a hardcore libertarian. You don't have to win my vote necessarily. The problem is you can't lose my vote. If you lose my vote, how many people who were on the edges did you scare off? Like, and the Jorgensen campaign lost my vote. I didn't vote last election for president. Like, if you're scaring people off who are the hardcore libertarians, what about the people in not the 5%, the 95% in the middle? Those are the people you want to bring in. And if you're scaring hardcore libertarians off, there's a good chance you're scaring a lot of people who thought about the party off as well.
Right. I feel like most people aren't necessarily pulled one way or the other. I feel like a lot of people are getting pulled one way or the other because how much politics is in everybody's face.
Yeah,
But I feel like now that the younger generation's coming up and socialism's very appealing to them, um, or if they're not attracted to that, then it's, nationalism. It's the far right Trumpism, and not that Trump's some neo-Nazi, but you get where I'm going. It's the nationalism, the America First. And once again, not that there's necessarily anything wrong with America First, but some of the more nationalist tendencies or
yeah,
the pro-war NSA kind of stuff, um, people get pulled in this direction, but they also see through the BS people that are, kind of more around my or your age, kind of millennials or even Gen Z. They kind of see the economy for the house of cards that it is, and they see that, holy hell, I have to go to into monstrous amounts of debt to just get a college degree. Everything costs so much, inflation's out of control. I can't get a good job anymore, and then you have somebody saying you have to be actively anti-racist, and people just hate that stuff. And then you have Trump, when the economy shut down, telling everybody that you have the greatest economy in the world. They hate that. When people are losing their businesses and you're being told, oh, you have to be anti-racist and the economy is the greatest thing in the world, and then Joe Biden gets in and tells you that you need to have a vaccine mandate or you need to have a vaccine just to go to work, people hate all of that from
they
all
do.
three candidates. And I voted for Joe Jorgensen. I like Joe Jorgensen a lot, but all three of those things are majorly, they're appalling to most people.
Yep.
So why, I don't think the liberty message is that hard to spread. And I really believe that if you have the right person speaking it to a big enough audience, people are going to be like, where's this been? Why have we not heard this before? And I totally think, and I've said this over and over again on this show, 2022, 2024, there's a huge opportunity for libertarians going forward if we can really just center in on this and spread the message of liberty the way it needs to be spread.
I agree. Let's go back to the you have to be actively anti-racist tweet. Okay, coming from a libertarian presidential candidate, that you don't want to hear anybody tell you have to do anything, let alone the libertarian presidential nominee telling you you have to be actively anti anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like that right there, that's a stop right there. Like, how did that get through her social media team? I'm assuming she has a team that handled that. How did that get through them? Like, you can't have, you just said none of the three candidates can say anything like that. You don't want to be told what to do by a president. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the over the last 18 to 24 months, the Libertarian Party could have been growing leaps and bounds,
Mm-hmm.
but they failed. You're, even we're not running a presidential candidate right now. Our messaging, our messaging through the Libertarian Party needs to be strong, and people want to hear it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they want to hear anti-vax mandates, not anti-vax. Like, my kids are vaccinated. I'm not anti-vax, but I am anti-vax mandates. We, the party, the state, national, everybody should be hammering home how bad these vax mandates are, the potential vaccine passports throughout the country. And now what? We got this new Omicron variant. Joe Biden's shutting down travel restrictions on South Africa and a few other countries. Like, if that would have happened under Donald Trump, that would have been, they would have screamed racist, everything.
Well, you know what? I hate to interrupt you, but
No, good.
look, Joe Biden is not racist for instituting a travel ban to
He's
South
not.
Africa because they didn't vote for him. And what did Joe Biden say? If you didn't vote for me, then you ain't black. So therefore, it's not racism. I'm sorry. uh, yeah, but I actually did want to touch on this too. Yeah, the Omicron variant. Are we gonna have like the Star Scream or Optimus Prime variant next?
Okay, we'll get into this. Okay, the Omicron version. The last one was what? The Delta variant. I guess the Delta wasn't scary sounding enough, so we went with Omicron because wouldn't have been Echo maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, they've
Like,
been skipping around a little bit.
they have. I don't even like. I'm so done with this. Like for me personally, the last 24 months, my life hasn't changed all that much. If a business wants me to wear a mask, I used to. Now it's all if you're vaccinated, you don't have to. So I'm vaccinated. I don't have to.
Yeah, identify as vaccinated.
That's how I am. That's what my pronouns are right now. If anybody's asking when I'm at a store, at least.
Yeah.
But we didn't let this last 24 months ruin our lives. We, for the most part, my family, we just kept living it as we did. I never stopped work. Luckily, I still work my 7 days a week, 8 12-hour days. Like
Mhm.
it is what it is. We kept living, and when this new Omicron variant, we're not going to stop living again. Even if more travel restrictions happen, who knows? No one's saying anything, but there's always a possibility that Joe Biden try and lock stuff down again. Like especially coming into winter, we got everybody gathering for family gatherings and stuff. Who knows what the future holds right now?
Mhm.
And it's the Libertarian Party could be out there just showing people like that freedom is the answer to every question we have in this country right now. Like more freedom is never going to hurt anything. It's only going to make our lives better.
Absolutely. And it's I really do think that there is just zero appetite for lockdowns anymore. Even amongst people who might have favored them at one point. I want to believe that some of those people are even starting to shake their head at all this shit going on now, and they're just saying, we really do not have an appetite for it. And I really hope that I'm pretty sure people said this last, 2 years ago too, but I really hope that people stand up and just say, look, we're just not going to do it because it can end when we say it has to end. But it just takes that unified voice of just saying we're not tolerating this anymore. I think you've read some of Jocko Willink's books, but Leif Babin is one of his co-authors, and one of the lines that's always stuck with me, and I've thought about a lot, and it applies to more than just relationships, leadership, but it's not what you preach, it's what you tolerate. And
100%.
and the American people have tolerated lockdowns, so I think they can continually get away with it, but I think it's on us to say, look, we're not going to do this anymore. But this kind of gets back to the Libertarian Party. We have to lead. We have to be the
Yeah.
ones to say we're not doing this.
And that's where the Libertarian Party has completely failed over the
Absolutely.
past
Yes.
couple years. It's been an utter failure. Like they have not
Mhm.
led from the front. Like the Libertarian Party needs to go up there, lead from their pulpit we have, take the slings and arrows, and just keep marching forward. And they refuse to do that. And that's why people
Mhm.
like me are stepping up. I'm running for Western Vice Chair. As Western Vice Chair, that's what you'll get from me. I like if I get reelected. If I get elected, great. I'm going to lead from the front. I'm going to be spreading that message, getting the counties, making sure these counties get affiliated, get principled libertarians in there to get stuff done at a local level. Um, and that's it. The Libertarian Party is a bottom up organization. If we don't have those strong affiliates at the bottom to build up from, we can't expect national to do anything for us. They're going to fail. And that's what I want to help do. I want to help build that farm system so we have libertarians that move up to state, national levels who will get up there, lead from the front, take those slings and arrows, and preach the gospel of liberty to people. It's a pretty simple thing to do at the end of the day. We do that through running candidates, and we do that through social media. Unfortunately, that's the world we live in right now. It's that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Right. And I think Pennsylvania has probably the best groundwork in the entire country to really make a big splash with the Libertarian Party in particular. Um, we have a lot of offices and people that are elected that aren't in necessarily, I don't want to say they're unimportant positions, but, there are a lot of auditors and, different small time positions. Not that I have any problem with those people getting elected, but there are also some people who are mayors on their city council. So, this kind of goes to complement the whole Moulton maneuver thing, but if we have this many elected libertarians, if we start getting more strong-armed, principled libertarians elected in the party or to bigger offices, then we could really change the country within a week or two. And I don't think anybody really appreciates or understands the degree and just how close we really are to making a really, really big push for liberty if, we really pull this off.
I've I've been around the liberty movement since Ron Paul. I've never felt like people wanted it more than they want it now. Now's our opportunity with these offices to do that, to build that. We like you said, we had a bunch of lower end offices that it's still great they got elected. Like, I'm not a person who's going to shit on the Moulton Maneuver and say it was all bad. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of good that came out of it. There's a lot of hard work put into it and a lot of good that came out of it. Like I said, we had 5 people in Westmoreland County get elected because of the Moulton Maneuver. My problem is you just talked about Jocko Willink and Leif Babin, extreme
Mm-hmm.
ownership. Anybody who wants to be in a position of leadership, a prerequisite should be reading the book Extreme Ownership. Like, decentralizing command and
Mm-hmm.
leadership is the key to making any organization successful. You don't want the guys at the top running everything. You want them to set the path forward and delegate the responsibilities to the people below them. And that's where the Pennsylvania board, I think they failed with the Moulton Maneuver. I think we spent a lot of money that didn't need to be spent on that. We'll start it at the county level. What everybody should have been instructed to do after primary day, give it a couple of days until all the results are in. Go to your board of elections. You can get a list of all the offices, who's running for them, who's not running. Each county could have done that on their own instead of the state running everything, sending out the mailers. It should have been sent down to each county to, here's what you do. You get a list of your municipalities, all the open offices, get your access to your voter information. Who are your registered libertarians? Where are they? And then it should be on the county to reach out to those people in those municipalities, cities, boroughs, whatever, to go then door knock, get people who want to run for those offices, and then go from there. Speaking from my experience in Westmoreland County, we had some great people. I got to talk to our candidates. Nate Job was a great candidate for mayor. We have Melinda Blaine. She is the auditor for Allegheny Township. Seth Tuttle, he's constable township near us. Jason Wogman, another constable. Jonathan Kruk, another constable. And then we had a couple of judge of elections who were elected, Adam. And shit, that last name's split my mind. I'm sorry, guys. But
You're good.
the one thing I want to say about that, these people aren't people who are actively involved in the county Libertarian Party. I haven't had any of them come to a single meeting yet. That's not disparaging them. Everybody has busy lives. That
Mm-hmm.
it is what it is. I'm not disparaging for that. Imagine what we could get done if we get people who go to meetings, elected at township supervisors, school board, mayors, council positions, people like Ben Sievers, who was elected to what is it,
North Apollo City
North
Council.
Apollo City Council. I couldn't remember
Yeah.
if it was Apollo or North Apollo, but
Mm-hmm.
those are the guys who are worth their weight in gold in their positions.
Absolutely.
Not that these other people aren't, but we have guys like Ben who will go. I'm hopeful for big things out of North Apollo with him and Andrew Hooray up there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm not gonna lie, we pushed hard to get Nate. I worked hard on Nate's campaign for mayor because he wasn't running an unchallenged race. So we pushed hard for Nate. I put my own money into it, helping him get flyers, get stuff out there. If we get those positions of mayor, council, those elected, those positions are worth their weight in gold. They can introduce stuff like Second Amendment sanctuaries, introduce decriminalization laws. You can do a lot of stuff from those positions that unfortunately you can't do from judge of elections. That's just the truth of it. Those positions are the ones we need to focus on real hard. It's nice that we had 135 libertarians elected in Pennsylvania, but I would trade 135 libertarians at judge of elections for 25, 30, 40 mayors, councilmen, township supervisors, maybe a sheriff or something in there. That's where we need to really focus on. we can still do those the Molt maneuver and get those people who run an unchallenged elected. Those are great to pad the numbers and build up the people in the state. But we can't kid ourselves. We have to focus on the positions where we can actually make tangible differences in communities.
Absolutely, I agree completely. I guess let's end it on a little bit of a positive note. Bill, are you optimistic for the future, and what do you see coming down the pipes for 2022 and maybe even into 2024?
I am optimistic. If I wasn't optimistic, I wouldn't have run for county chair.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be running for Western vice chair if I wasn't optimistic. My predecessor, Sam Robb, laid a really good framework here in Western Pennsylvania, and I hope to, if elected, I hope to build off what he's done. I think we have 11 counties that still need to get affiliated. My goal for 2022 would be to get those affiliated and then help the rest of the state get there with the remaining counties affiliated. 2022 is an off year. We just have some national elections. There isn't a state. I don't think there's national and state. There's no municipal elections next year. I don't think there's even any judge elections. So we'll focus on getting state representative candidates farmed out and get them started. And hopefully we can run a ton of candidates in this half of this part of the state. I have guys who are already talking, they want to run for positions, and that's awesome. I'm glad we have people already itching to get involved and run this coming year. I'm really hopeful for 2022. I'd love to see a couple state representatives in Pennsylvania elected, and I think we have really good people running. Liz, Mark, I think Mark Bizzacco is going to run. I'm hopeful for the people we can run, get elected this coming year. I think we had 130 some libertarians elected this past year. Well, we won't get that next year, just don't have the people. But building into 2023, I'd like to double that, and I'd like to get a chunk of those to be those meat and potatoes positions, the mayors, council, township supervisors. I'd kill to get a sheriff elected in Pennsylvania. That's my goal. That's what I'm going to push in my time. I want to get a sheriff elected. If you get a sheriff elected, you can make big things happen in a county, and that's my goal. So yes, I am very optimistic moving forward. Hopeful for good things coming from our county. We got plans. We got our Christmas party coming up next month. Hope to see everybody there. That's an open invite. Libertarians from all around. You're allowed to come. Reach out to Kyle. He knows what's up. But yeah, I'm very optimistic moving forward.
Nice. Well, I share that same optimism. Bill, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Facebook. My page for Western Vice Chair is Bill Cox for WVC. You can message me through the Westmoreland County Libertarian Party Facebook page, Westmoreland LP. You can find me on Twitter, Bill Cox for Liberty. Those are the main places. And you can always find me on Facebook, Bill Cox. Send me a friend request. I love talking to people. If you have questions about me running for vice chair, reach out. I'll answer them all.
Nice. Well, that's awesome to hear, and I hope people send you some messages, send you friend requests, and show their support for you, because I definitely will, and I think that you'll do a great job if elected. I think you're going to get there, but I hope that we'll see. So
Long road, but I'm in it for the long haul. So
absolutely, as am I. All right, until next time, everybody, in liberty and health.